true crime fans, there's obviously no shortage of content out there, but this one is going to be one you are going to binge in just one sitting. I'm talking with the consulting producer, contributor, investigative journalist Scott Johnson, Chris Smith, director, EP, and Scott also authored the book Hollywood Con Queens. So Scott, I'll let you tell us what Hollywood Con Queens about.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having us. I really appreciate your interest. Yeah, this is a rocking, crazy story about a sophisticated, diabolical con artist who swindled hundreds of people out of money and dreams by luring them to uh, Indonesia, of all places, participate in these made-up, uh, fantastical, fake job opportunities over a period of many, many years, in the process attracting the attention of a very determined private investigator and ultimately the FBI, as well as numerous other law enforcement agencies around the world who cooperated in a bid to put an end to his schemes.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, Chris. I'll direct this next question to you. First of all, thank you so much for giving the world Tiger King at the perfect time. He was the EP on Tiger King. We all love the story of Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin. So, how did you differentiate your work on that show to now Hollywood Con Queen?
Well, every project is different. I think this one was unique in the sense that when I met Scott, he was just starting this investigation. He had done a lot of reporting, but was starting to, he had decided to write a book about it. And so for me, it was something that I hadn't done, which was this process of following somebody on his process of trying to, research and write this book. And we weren't entirely sure where it would go, but the hope was that he would try to track this person down. And that was something that we thought was a long shot, but it ended up happening, and that sort of ends up being what the series is about.
Yeah, and I won't give any spoilers here. People have to watch and find out who they track down, who this ends up being. But Scott, being in the trenches of it, what was that like knowing, okay, I have to track this person down, how to figure this out? What was going on through your head while you're doing this?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because it developed organically as I went along. When I started writing the book or reporting the book, I didn't really know what form it would take. And then, of course, COVID happened, and that changed everything for everybody. And so I was in the middle of reporting the book when suddenly I had to deal with this factor, which made travel extremely difficult, made just being around other people hard. So I kept reporting and basically made the decision to sort of venture out of COVID lockdown into the world in a bid to try to finish my reporting, which meant trying to find this person. And so yes, without going into too many details, that is what I did. And by that point, Chris and I were working together, and so the documentary kind of accompanies us on this journey. And so there is a kind of a visceral, urgency to a lot of what we're seeing as the documentary goes on. And I think that's a reflection of just how raw and unsure and strange the world was at that point. And when you layer on the surreal quality of the scam on top of it, it takes on these really bizarre proportions.
Yeah, and being someone who investigates this kind of stuff and going through this whole process, what kind of advice do you have for people? Everyone, it's so easy to say on the outside, oh, I can't believe these people fell for this, but seems so real. People are trying to do better for themselves. What kind of advice do you have for people out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're all inclined to look at when other people get taken in and say, well, I would never fall for that, or I would see through it. But the fact is, and this is something I really learned during the course of reporting this book, is that we all have our weaknesses. We all have our points of entry. And so a clever con artist very quickly figures out, where is our ego weakest? What is that point that can be exploited most effectively? And we all have one. And so I think it's important it's important to be humble about this kind of stuff. We can all get taken in, and I'm sure many of your viewers maybe have, unfortunately, and I'm sorry for that, but we can, and I think that it's important, especially now, given the proliferation of AI. And just with all the technology that we're all trying to navigate every day, it's important to just be vigilant, to double check, triple check, just be aware of our surroundings and what we're getting into. All those things will help a little bit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And Chris, as the director, you're kind of tasked with piecing this together and not making it look like, oh, we're defending this Hollywood con queen, kind of similar to how Tiger King was, where, oh, we're not endorsing Joe Exotic or making him this national figure. What is that like as being the director to make sure these victims' voices are heard, make sure we're seeing both sides, but also not giving light to this person?
I think in this case, we started with the victims. We were, and I think following on what Scott said, the scam was never, it wasn't the same scam twice. Like it was always tailored to different individuals. And I think, there was a lot of research, and it was very skillful in the way that he conducted his communication with people. And he was a master communicator, just in terms of the way that he would interact. There's a lot of recordings that had surfaced that we were able to use in the show, that you could sort of get a better understanding of the way that happened. But he is an incredibly compelling individual. And I think that part of the series was us trying to understand him and how he sort of had sort of ended up in this place where this is where life had taken him. And so that to us was more interesting than the mechanics of the scam. Was actually the motivations behind it.
It's 3 episodes on Apple TV Plus starting Wednesday, May 8th, but you're going to binge through it in one sitting. Thank you both, Scott and Chris. Make sure you watch The Hollywood Con Queen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yep.